Good evening. It's my privilege to welcome you to Lycoming College and this truly remarkable moment in the life of this community. We are here to celebrate and dedicate the Krapf Gateway Center, a project that has transformed this campus and will signal to all who visit the quality and character of a Lycoming College education. My name is Chip Edmonds, and I serve this extraordinary institution as Executive Vice President. It is my privilege and true honor to welcome you and share in this event with so many who have made this day possible. The historical significance of this dedication cannot be overstated. From here, we can look out these windows upon Williamsport and Old City. We can also view the Upper Quad and appreciate the over 200-year history of this learning community. And we can relish how this edifice reclaims the critical connection between institutions of higher learning and the communities they call home. Tonight is also about Lycoming College and its continued ascent as a truly premier liberal arts and sciences institution. The Krapf Gateway Center will serve as a beacon to all who come to Lycoming College and will communicate the distinctive and first-rate educational opportunities provided to all those who make this their academic and professional home. Educating young minds for meaningful lives and significant careers is noble work, and it inspires us all. I am pleased to invite Vice Provost Dr. Susan Ross and Lycoming Senior and 2019 Goldwater Scholar Michaela Feldbauer to offer their words of appreciation and gratitude on behalf of the campus community.
Thank you, Chip. Michaela and I were having a little bit of a conversation about the height of the podium, but I think we'll be okay. All righty. 5 years ago, at their fall meeting, the Lycoming College Board of Trustees, including many of you here today, approved a visionary strategic plan entitled Toward a Greater Lycoming. It was an ambitious and inspiring document that leaves me, quite frankly, anxious to read it to you in its 41-page entirety. I'm going to exercise a little bit of restraint, and instead, I'm going to draw your attention to 5 succinct tactics, each which were embedded in a different strategic goal. Okay. Tactic. Create a first-rate outdoor recreation program that strengthens Lycoming's focus on educating the whole person and takes advantage of opportunities presented by the college's geographic location. Tactic. Convene a group of trustees and administrators led by the president to study options to develop a new admissions house or welcome center and recommend a course of action. Tactic. Establish a center for enhanced academic experiences. Tactic. Establish a physical presence on the campus for students and alumni to network, volunteer, and foster lifelong relationships with the college. Tactic, and last one, engage in the planning process for Old City and East 3rd Street redevelopment with the objective of redefining Lycoming's southern border in such a way that it becomes a destination for both the local community and members of Lycoming's community. Through the leadership of President Kent Trachty and the Board of Trustees, these tactics were woven into the brick, mortar, glass, and stone tapestry that has become this magnificent Krapf Gateway Center. And it is truly an honor to be among the members of the Lycoming College community who will inhabit it and give life to this building in service to prospective students and their families, current students, alumni, and neighbors of this distinguished institution. Community creates creativity, and in perceptively bringing together the Office of Admissions, the Outdoor Leadership and Education Program, the Center for Enhanced Academic Experiences, and the Alumni and Advancement Suite, the Krapf Gateway Center allows for our offices to deepen our cross-area integration, foster robust innovations, and collectively work to support an ever greater Lycoming. On behalf of the campus community, thank you to the Board of Trustees for your vision and support of this spectacular building. And thank you to Dale, Betsy, Dallas, and Dale Krapf, and the numerous generous benefactors, many of whom are here with us today, for making this possible. We look forward to living up to our collective expectations for this transformation to the campus. It is now my pleasure to introduce Michaela Feldbauer, member of the class of 2020. Michaela comes to us as an interdisciplinary major across mathematics and computer science and biology. As Chip Edmonds said, she is a 2019 Goldwater Scholar, having done research experiences here on campus with Dr. Mary Morrison and Dr. with Dr. Andrew Brandon. And she has done research experiences in the summertime at the University of Washington and Cornell University as well. Michaela.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Hello, everyone. Like Dr. Ross mentioned, my name is Michaela Feldbauer, and I am the Student Senate Secretary and a member of the class of 2020. I'm honored to speak to you today on behalf of the student body. When President Trocti provided an overview of all that would be housed in the Krapf Gateway Center at a spring Student Senate meeting, I initially became fixated on the study rooms. As you may know, the study rooms in the Lynn Science Center quickly became an essential asset to our residential community. Additionally, they are where I spend most of my time. Given that the Lynn Science Center study rooms always seem to be occupied, I was excited to learn that study rooms have been prioritized for inclusion in the new Krapf Gateway Center. It can certainly be said that all of those hours spent studying in the Lynn Science Center have paid off. For instance, thanks to the combination of both my efforts in my classes, my research experiences both off and on campus, and the mentorship of several professors here at Lycoming, I was recently awarded a National Goldwater Scholarship. While I am proud of my academic achievements, as my time at Lycoming is winding to a close, I'm realizing that there is in fact more to life than studying. Moving away from my initial fixation on the 4 study rooms that you passed on your way to this beautiful presentation space, I now know that this building is incredibly important and meaningful, not only to current students, but to future ones as well. As for current students, I know that we are delighted that Outdoor Leadership and Education, the Center for Enhanced Academic Experiences, Alumni Relations, and Admissions will all have new homes in this building. Seeing the alumni suite on the other side of this floor makes me even more excited to come back as an alumnus, knowing that I have such a nice space to visit. The features of this building will also help the college to keep attracting bright young students to attend Lycoming. When I took microeconomics during my freshman year, we learned about how certain features of colleges mean more than you might think when it comes to persuading students to go there. One of these features was a rock climbing wall, which we can now advertise to prospective students. That being said, the new offices and the study rooms and the rock climbing wall are all great, but this building means more than that. It symbolizes Lycoming's commitment to providing a top-notch education to empower leaders of today to empower learners of today to become leaders of tomorrow. This is what makes this building so special to not only myself, but to the entire student body and the campus community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela and Susan. That was great. You know, those thoughts really sort of are what we had hoped for, which is the thought of how this building is going to help bring the learning experience that our students appreciate and our involvement with the campus, our involvement with the community to help our students learn outside of the classroom. And so we're really excited to hear those thoughts. Thank you very much. So I remember, as Dr. Ross said that day in 2014, so we actually were at a retreat, and we all trundled across campus to this little hill over here, and we arms were waved, eyes were squinted, and we could almost see the admission experience, the outdoor learning experience of climbing wall. We could almost see the vision that President Trotke had seen for this building and how it would impact this campus. Seeing it here in real life is a real gratifying experience for all of the trustees who were there and for our community at large, and we're really grateful. The Board of Trustees, my fellow trustees, I'm very grateful to them as well, and I want to take a moment to appreciate all the help and vision that they added to this process through a lot of business experience, through a lot of experience with buildings, through a lot of experience with grant makers and other people like that. We managed our way through a lot of issues, finally culminating in the project. And this building is better because of that effort. And so I'd like everyone to take a moment and help me thank my fellow trustees for their work. I also want to take just a moment to thank all the donors. Now, some of those donors are the trustees, and so, of course, we're all very grateful for that as well. There's a plaque on the wall between the first and second floor downstairs that sort of lists the significant contributions made by so many people and the levels and all the rest of that stuff. These people really, part of our Lycoming community, really bought into the vision of this building and how it would transform the campus and how it would tell the college community at a greater large that Lycoming intended to stay. You know, we intended to survive amidst a very competitive environment, and we were going to create the kind of experience that our students were going to need to prepare them for the next century. And these people believed that program. They made their commitments. They stepped up. And so let's just say thank you to all the donors who contributed to this work. And then finally, I want to thank Dale and Dallas Krapf, and the whole Krapf family who are here today. We're grateful you all came. Dale and Dallas stepped up early, and they had a strong desire to see the outdoor education program be put in place, but also to understand all the rest of the needs of the college in terms of our admissions experience, in terms of our enhanced academic experiences, in terms of the whole panoply of things that Susan had mentioned. And they stepped up early and they made a commitment, and that commitment inspired and led others. And we really would not be here today without, you know, really a lifelong history of Dale and Dallas's commitment to this place and lifelong giving. And they've been a great inspiration. We're very proud to have you part of our community. Thank you. And finally, it's my privilege to invite President Trotke himself to come up here. While he does so, you know, we should just recognize that not only was this building face all the challenges that a college president has trying to get a building like this accomplished, which are many, but coordinating this with the city of Williamsport, coordinating the roads and the other things that you see outside, really making this the centerpiece of East Lycoming, of old, what is it called? Old City, was a Herculean task. And I'm very grateful to work with Kent, and I'd like us all to give him a round of applause while he comes up to talk.
I've been waiting for this day. Right, Dale, Dallas? And it's very exciting that it's finally arrived. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to recognize two persons in attendance. First of all, the college's 14th president, Dr. James Douthit, upon whose foundation we have been able to accomplish so much. And then I'm very grateful that my good friend, Dr. Davy Gilmore, the president of Penn College, has come. Davy, thank you so much for joining us today.
So as the other speakers have indicated, today's dedication marks a significant moment in the history of Lycoming College. For the first time since Old Main was torn down, the college has a grand entrance that is befitting an institution with such a distinguished history and exciting future. Moreover, the location and physical orientation of the Krapf Gateway Center visually reconnects the college to the Grand Susquehanna River, the Pennsylvania wilds, and the old city of Williamsport. The completion of this center also marks an important step in the revitalization of the Old City neighborhood that has been the college's home. We acknowledge today the power of partnerships to produce transformational change. Most of all, it is an occasion to recognize and celebrate the incredible philanthropy of Dale and Betsy Krapf and Dallas and Di Krapf. So we are grateful to many, and you'll have to put up with me while I do a number of thank yous. We are grateful to many for their partnership in constructing this grand building and this compelling new entrance. First, we are grateful to State Senator and Lycoming graduate, class of 1970, Jean Yaw. Jean, where are you? It was Jean's advocacy that made possible a $2 million RACP grant from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that supported the reconfiguration of Franklin Street, the improvements on the upper quad, the beautiful landscaping around this building, and its connectivity to the city. We also appreciate the support of our state representative, Jeff Wieland. I don't know if Jeff is here. Jeff, there you are. Thank you, Jeff. And although he does not represent us, another Lycoming graduate who I know advocated, State Senator Dave Argel, class of 1980. And although he is not here, we also thank Governor Wolf for approving the RACP funding, and we appreciate the partnership of PennDOT, led by District 3 Executive Sandy Tosca. Please acknowledge the role of all these influential advocates and public officials. We are also grateful to the First Community Foundation Partnership, their board, and their CEO, Jennifer Wilson, for a $500,000 grant that provided matching funds to support the realignment of Franklin Street and some of the site work. Jennifer is here. Thank you, Jennifer, and your board. I would also like to recognize Delta Development, Leroy Klein, and Teresa Sparacino for their lobbying efforts that also helped to secure not only the RACP grant, but another $5.5 million in grants that will be executing improvement of the infrastructure. And I know Leroy is here somewhere. Leroy, thank you. Mayor Campana, City Finance Director Bill Nichols Jr., and the members of City Council have also been exceptional partners through the many twists and turns of this project. I'll have to write a book about this someday because there were many. And we thank them for their steadfast commitment to a shared vision that sees this gateway as a catalyst to revitalizing this old city neighborhood. Please join me in thanking them as well. While their funding did not directly support construction of the building, the Lycoming County Commissioners and the Lycoming Economic Development Foundation provided significant funding to support the transformation of Basin Street into a boulevard and a grand entrance. In addition, the water and sanitary authorities have made investments in infrastructure improvements that are an important element of the gateway. I ask that you join me in acknowledging the commissioners, the boards of the LECD and WSMA. Thank you. So we also acknowledge BHDP architects for this inspiring building design, especially Giancarlo Del Vita, Paul Orban, and Paul Garland. Please acknowledge them. Giancarlo is back for the first time since the building was constructed. And then Dirk and Edson, and especially Tim Manis for an equally wonderful landscape design, and Wilson Construction for leading the construction of the Gateway Center. Thank you to all those partners as well. Other important partners included Gleno Hallbaker Incorporated, R&J Ertl, Tra Electric, Turnkey Construction, St. John's Masonry, and Jim Messick from Stantec, and I am grateful to all of them for their efforts with this building. Finally, 2 members of our administrative team also deserve special recognition today. Jeff, where are you? Jeff Bennett. All right. Jeff Bennett, who coordinated the project from concept design through completion of construction. Jeff, we are very grateful to you for your efforts. Thank you. And then Chip Edmonds, who welcomed you, who led the extraordinarily successful fundraising efforts. Chip's leadership resulted in more philanthropic support for this building than any other capital project in the college's history. Thank you, Chip. And while Stan has already done it, before turning to our naming donors and the dedication ceremony, I want to acknowledge the bold vision and inspiring leadership of the Board of Trustees, its chair, Stan Slaughter, and its vice chair, and the gentleman who served as chair of Buildings and Grounds through this process, Mark Foltz. They led this project through its formative stages, and I am very grateful to the Board of Trustees for your faith in this project and for the investments that you have made. Thank you so much. And now I would like to ask Dale and Betsy Krapf and Dallas and Di. I didn't tell you, Di, that you're going to have to come forward, but to come forward, please. While they're coming forward, I spent time with Dallas and Di in Florida last winter, and I begged her to come for this event, and she agreed to do so, and we're delighted to have her here. If the 4 of you could please come and stand to my left, that would be wonderful. Dallas Krapf and his wife Di are generous philanthropists who support many nonprofits. Dallas is a veteran, having served in the U.S. Army. Upon returning from the service, he joined the Krapf school bus family business. He attended Lycoming College prior to entering the service, and in 2013, Lycoming awarded Dallas an honorary degree. There are many other things I could say, but I promise not to go on too long. Majoring in business administration, Dale Krapf earned a bachelor's degree from Lycoming in 1967. He has served on the Lycoming College Board of Trustees for more than 25 years and is a past board secretary. Dale led the Krapf Bus Company as its president for 16 years, and in 1999 he became chairman of the board. For more than 3 decades, the 2 brothers have jointly led the Krapf Bus Company and built it into one of the nation's most successful private transportation enterprises. Dale, Dallas, Chip Edmonds, and I had many dinners together to discuss this project, and they were deeply inspiring and meaningful. Dale served also on the working group that helped to decide which programs to include in the building and collaborated with BHDP on the wonderful architecture. Not only has Dale and Dallas's philanthropy made this building possible, their understanding of the college's priorities and aesthetic sense has influenced its functionality and impacted its experience. Their partnership in providing this naming gift is an act of brotherly love. Dale and Betsy and Dallas and Di, the college community, is deeply grateful to the 4 of you. Before you stand up, I have a few more words, and then you can stand up. So now I would like to offer some words of dedication. It is customary when we open a new building at Lycoming College to offer some words of dedication. May the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the college find a home within the walls of this building and on its patios. May visitors to our campus from our home city of Williamsport, from across the country, and from around the world feel the building's warm welcome when they arrive on campus. May prospective students and their families begin to fall in love with Lycoming College within the walls of this building. May lessons of leadership, joyful homecomings by alumni, the discovery of enhanced academic experiences, and words of wisdom come to pass and fulfill the vision that inspired us to construct this building. Finally, may this new campus center serve to celebrate our past and our future as a residential liberal arts college. With all of these thoughts in mind, by the power vested in me by the college's Board of Trustees, I hereby officially dedicate this building as the Krapf Gateway Center. Now we applaud. Dale, I understand that you will make some remarks on behalf of yourself, Dallas, Betsy, Di, and the family on this historic occasion.
Thank you. Well, the one thing that hasn't been said that's part of my remarks tonight, you always have the dubious honor when you're the last one speaking of hearing all the things you plan to say. That said, I've learned long ago that I'm not going to change my remarks. But the one thing that has not been said is wow, wow. This building was meant to give that kind of perception for Lycoming College, and I think that everyone involved did a great job in doing that. I was standing here with Amy a few hours ago, one of the employees here at the school, and we were talking about the building, and I just had one of those moments. And it's a great, great thing when something that you've planned and worked on for so long exceeds your expectations. In business, that doesn't always happen, correct, gentlemen? So, and I think that this has done that and more. I think for you to understand the person, Dale Krapf, I've got to talk a little bit about my beginning in my college career. I did not start at Lycoming. I started at a great institution up the road, and I was there for 1 year. Now, back in the day, and I had a tough father. Loved him to death, but he was tough. He said, you know, your two sisters went to that school, and they did just fine, so that's where you're going. There was no questions asked. If you get in, you're gone there. I can't help but remember the famous speech by the president of that institution to the freshman class. And some of you have heard this before. It's not, he wasn't the first one that said it. He said to all the freshmen sitting in the audience, he said, now look to your right and look to your left. Only one of you will be here on graduation day. Somehow I can't see Jim Douthit or Kent Trockey using that kind of motivation for the freshman class. But there was something missing for me at that school. I had no sense of place. I had no sense of belonging. I had no sense of identity. I was unhappy there. And at the end of the day, I was a dismal failure in my own eyes. So the summer following my freshman year, it took me 6 weeks to tell my old man I wasn't going back. And I never called him my old man before, but you all understand. It's the moment. It was around the end of July, and I said, Dad, I'm not going back to that school. That was a tough thing to tell George Krapf, I can assure you. And I actually was met with some concern after he got finished telling me, in the Krapf family, we just don't quit. I said, I didn't tell you I was quitting. I told you I'm not going back to that school. And he said, well, what are you going to do? School starts in a few weeks. I said, I have a very dear friend that's going to this school in Williamsport, and he loves it. And that young man's name was Gary Sturtz. And I said that I'd like to go to Lycoming if they'll take me as a transfer student. So the next day, my father had an appointment up here. We drove to Williamsport, and I tried earlier today to try to remember who was in charge in those days. This is 1963, actually, the summer of '63. But anyhow, like we often are looking for a few transfers to round out our student body for the new year. We've talked about that in trustee meetings quite often. They took me. So the rest is history. But those things that were missing for me at the other school evaporated immediately when I came to Lycoming. I immediately became involved in campus activities. I even played on 2 sports teams. I joined a fraternity. 2 years later, I found myself president of that fraternity. I had roles in campus activities as president of the Interfraternity Council. I've thoroughly loved my time here. When I graduated, I was ready to take on the world. I was motivated, I was secure, and I felt that I could do anything. So I went back home, and my father said, now what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go in the bus business. I mean, that's the thing all the Krafts did. We didn't know anything else. And at the time, we had about 48 buses. Not about, we had 48 buses. I remember the number. A year later, my brother finished his time in the military. He came back home, and the 2 of us took on the challenge of growing the Krapf Bus Company. And what a challenge it was, but how much fun it was as well. One of the things that I'm so proud of, and I think all the Krafts that are here tonight bears that, is that several years later, when my sons graduated from college, and I have 3 boys, they all wanted to join the business as well. I'm not sure that they're all happy with that decision today, but they wanted to join the business. When the last of the 5th generation got into the business, we had 600 or 700 buses, maybe it was 500 or 600 buses. But anyhow, we'll probably argue that point over a family dinner, I'm not sure. But today, we have 2,800 buses, and we operate in 4 states. As Kent mentioned, we're the largest private school bus company in the United States. We also run paratransit for our community. We run motor coaches. We run a lot of transit buses in the city of Philadelphia. A lot of companies stagger with the third generation. Many go out of business. As I said earlier, my proudest moment is that ours has flourished with the third generation. And quite frankly, they're going to help my retirement one of these days. So anyhow, that said, let's fast forward. The first 25 years after my graduation from Lycoming College, I could pretty much say that I spent all that time raising my family and growing my business. I've always called the Krapf Bus Company my fourth born. So that's basically what happened. Then one day in 1992, I got a call from a very dear friend who's sitting in the audience, Don Failer. And I guess he was on the nominating committee. And he said, Dale, would you consider a position as a trustee at Lycoming? And I really had not been very active because, as I said, I was active with other things. And I said, yes, Don, I'd like to do that. And here it is 25 and a half years later, I believe, because I just got my gold watch last spring. I am still a trustee, although I found out today in the nominating committee meeting that I term out in next May. So I'm not sure that that's where I want to be at this point in my life, but nevertheless, it is. The clock keeps ticking. In addition to becoming a trustee, I got reacquainted with another dear friend, and both of these guys are fraternity brothers. And I would have to challenge the rest of the audience. I think there have been more fraternity brothers from Lambda Chi Alpha that have been trustees than any other fraternity on campus. There's 4 or 5 of us right now as I speak. So, but anyhow, I got reacquainted with Mel Campbell. Mel and I had a lot of the same interest. We liked the whitewater paddle. We liked the canoe in general. We like to climb mountains. We like the great outdoors. And Mel said, you know, it's just a shame that Lycoming does not have an outdoor program. So that started, and that conversation continued for almost 20 years. During that period of time, I found as I got more and more involved in the board that as part of a trustee to an institution like this, you have a dual commitment. It's called time and money. And but I did not mind that because I always felt that I was truly indebted to Lycoming. So we started to talk about an outdoor building. Mal even went to the trouble of having renderings of a standalone outdoor building. Committees were formed here with the trustees and the administration, and as we worked through that, that single-focused building took on a new life of its own. And it was decided that we wanted to, what we needed most at Lycoming right now was to evolve into a new building that would change the landscape of this college, that would be multifunctional, that would not only house OLE, Mal and I's love, but would make OLE front and center to the entrance to this building from the lower level. And as mentioned earlier, since a few years after I graduated, at last a front door to Lycoming College. When they tore down Old Main, they took away the front door. Everyone in this room, and you would not be here, we all know this is a great liberal arts institution. It's got many, many awards in the last several years. It keeps improving every year. and we all want Lycoming to be even more successful. I want to acknowledge, without naming these folks, the various people that Ken talked about earlier. I can't say enough about the city, state, and county partners. They were great. I can't say enough about the committee that worked on with the designers and the architect and so on in coming up with with this building. We met several times. There were several iterations. And it was an interesting time, but it was a very, very thoughtful time. I can't say enough about the entire community of Williamsport that embraced this building. Wow, what a buzz around town the last couple of days as I've been here, and what a buzz on campus. That in itself seems to make it all worthwhile. Administration, faculty, trustees, you were all supportive. The partners that we all talked about, and most importantly, my partner, Dallas Krapf, in joining me in making a naming gift for this school. So I want to stop there for a moment, and I'd like, you've all met Dallas, but I'd like Dallas to stand, and then I'd like the 5 Krapf family members, my son Blake, my son Gary, my son Brad, who went to Lycoming for a few years and chose to go to Villanova for his degree. My son, I said Gary, right? Yeah, I said Gary. My nephew Brent, who is a graduate of Lycoming College, and my niece Allison, who's a graduate of Elizabethtown College. So would you all stand, please? A little known secret, the 5 younger ones out of this group of 7 own the Krapf Bus Company. They finished the deal on April 4th of this past year. So we're looking for good things as we go forward. So Dallas and I are committed to promoting Lycoming's vision for the future. Dare to dream, dare to do is the one that I like the best, quite honestly. Our family's been very blessed that we were, through hard work and determination, that we were able to be the donors for the Krapf Gateway Center. We have been able to contribute to what we believe is a very powerful and positive change for both Lycoming College and the community of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Thank you all for the opportunity.
I actually was told that I didn't have a speaking part, but what can I say? I guess the reason I fell in love with Lycoming, as Dr. Trocchi said, and Chip, I only spent a short time here. I got drafted. I went into the military. It was 67. Number 27. I wasn't a very good student. We talked about that at the groundbreaking with Senator Yaw. We kind of agreed with each other, the kind of students we were here at Lycoming. But I met Coach Girardi many years ago. I guess when Dale asked me to do something at the football stadium, and he sucked me into Lycoming, kind of like Joe Paterno sucked me into Penn State. You know, that's maybe the wrong term to use, but, you know, I bleed blue and white. I never went to Penn State. And, you know, I love Lycoming. Dr. Trockey and Chip, they, you know, once you're on their, whatever, you're in trouble. But, you know, and then Dale said, you know, I can't do this alone. Would you consider being, we partnered in everything we've done in our lifetime. So, you know, I too see the excitement here at Lycoming, and, you know, I'm so happy to be a part of such a wonderful thing, something that wasn't said. Our father, October, November, December, he would get done work at 5 o'clock at home in Glenmore, Pennsylvania, which is 3 hours from here. And he would go to his mountain house in Lycoming County. He loved Lycoming County. So there's no better place for the Krapf Gateway Center to be than in Lycoming County. So thank you.
Well, as we close this evening's formal dedication, I hope you'll take some more time, and I invite you to explore this wonderful building. Please stay for the reception and encounter the many people and friends who invested their time and resources into making this project possible. One final thank you to you, Dale and Dallas, and the entire Krapf family. Thank you to all of our generous friends, and thank you to everyone here for your collective commitment to Lycoming College. Thank you.